Hello friends, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, it's great to have you. My name is Danny and I'm going to be talking about the chore system that we use with our three older children. Our youngest just turned 1, so he doesn't have a lot of chores other than, helping us put toys back in his toy tray. But our 3 older kids are ages 7, 5, and almost 3, and so we have some chores for them, and I'd like to just talk about how we do our chores system today. So if you're new here, it's great to have you. Thanks for coming. I created this YouTube channel and a blog by the same name to just share about our family's journey of living in a small space and kind of the systems that we use, and also trying to choose to be really intentional with how we show up in the world, and what stuff we consume and what stuff we don't consume, and what we say yes to and what we say no to. So if that's of interest, check out my other content, check out what's on my blog, and we're gonna jump into what we're talking about today. So to give you some context, I grew up on a farm, and my siblings and I were encouraged and required to contribute to some of the work that happened on the farm. And I, as an adult and honestly as a child, I am so thankful that we had that opportunity. My parents, we had chores that we did in the home, like household responsibilities that were just part of contributing to a family, part of contributing to a household, part of equipping us for life later on, and that was great. And then we also contributed on the farm, and we always got paid for what the work we did on the farm. So we had a built-in way to earn money, save money, learn to manage money. And I loved that aspect because it meant that I was able to earn money way before many of my peers would have been able to kind of stock up in their bank account. So I don't have a farm for my kids, so I don't necessarily have that as a way to help motivate them to learn chores, but I'm working on other creative ways to help them do that. But one of the things that we just do in our household as a family is we require our kids to contribute. That's just part of being a family. I believe everybody needs to contribute to the household and how it runs. So I contribute by grocery shopping and cooking, and my husband and I both contribute by paying the rent. And of course, we wouldn't expect our children to carry that kind of responsibility, but they can contribute in some ways. And it's important, I think, for kids to be empowered to recognize ways that they are important and helpful and part of helping a household run smoothly. So I want my kids to see that there is a difference between what our household is like when they are contributing and when they are not contributing, because I think that's such a confidence boosting thing to know I'm capable and I can contribute in a way that the people that I love and care about the most, it actually impacts their life for the good. So that's why we do chores. Let's talk a little bit about what we do with chores. So behind me here, we've got our chore list. So I usually make up a list. I'll tilt this up a little bit. I make up a list for each child, and these chores actually change about every 10 to 12 weeks. So we run on the New Zealand school year term, and so we usually have chores for a term. And then when we take a little bit of a term break, or when things kind of switch over to the next term, we will reshuffle the chores. So what I usually do is just get a piece of paper, write kind of everything down that I think the kids could do that would help and contribute towards the family. And then I sit down with the kids and we kind of divvy them up. And then when we do it the next term, we shuffle things around. So I kind of give kids the option, do you want to continue to do this chore? Would you like to do something different? Most of the time they're ready to give up some of their chores and let somebody else do them. And I think that's okay. I think that having 10 to 12 weeks to kind of master a chore and learn to do it well is long enough that they kind of get tired of doing it, and then it gives a sibling an opportunity to learn and master that chore as well. Of course, we still have to sort of assess who's capable of what. My 3-year-old can't do all of the same things that my 7-year-old can do. So there is a little bit of just kind of adjustment for that. But in general, yeah, we like to have some specific chores for each child, each term that they're responsible for doing. So I usually break it up by before breakfast chores, after breakfast chores, lunchtime chores, and then dinner time chores. Those are the main like transition times in our home around our meal times. And so it works really well as we have those transitions to have that be tied to certain chores that need to happen. So I'll just go through what each of my kids does, and then we can talk a little bit more about how this is actually executed. I create these charts on Canva, and I like to use, let me get this stable a little bit more, and I like to use pictures as well as words. So some of my kids can read, some of them can't read, and so this helps everybody be on the same page. So for my oldest, before breakfast, she needs to make her bed, change her clothes. Clothes go in the hamper if they're dirty and if they're needed. She checks our dryer for clean, dry clothes, and then she puts our wet clothes into the laundry basket and drags it over to our front door, where I either hang it up or move it out to our dryer. Our dryer is outside of our house. After breakfast, she clears the eating area, she wipes down the eating area, and then she brushes her teeth and hair, and her school books come out. Brushing your teeth and hair is not really a chore. I understand that, but it's helpful to just have it on the chore list so she knows that that's what's going to happen. At lunchtime, she's responsible for cleaning up the school books. So books away, arts and crafts supplies away, and the table wiped down because it gets a lot of like eraser smudge all over it. And then at dinner time, her responsibility is to set the table before dinner and then load the dishes into the dishwasher after dinner. And then I have on here their bedtime routine as well, because they have a separate routine that they do at bedtime. So this is just the reminder that when you reach the end of the chores, time to check the bedtime routine. So my 5-year-old in the morning before breakfast makes her bed, changes clothes, puts her clothes into the hamper if she needs to. Let me get this in an angle where I can look up here and also you can hear me. She helps the 3-year-old fold his blankets as he's making his bed, so they work together on that. And then she's my breakfast helper. So she loves breakfast, and so if there's anything that I need help with for breakfast, can you butter the toast? Can you, stir this pot of oatmeal? Do you want to help me make the oatmeal? She loves to help with that, so that's her before breakfast chore. After breakfast, her job is to load the dishes into the dishwasher and then get her school books out and then brush her hair and teeth. And then at lunchtime, her job is to tidy up. And so she and the 3-year-old work together to tidy up any toys or books or forts or pillows or things that have kind of gotten strewn around the house, so that for lunch we can have kind of a clean slate and a fresh start after lunchtime to go into our afternoon time block. And then at dinner time, her responsibility is to clear off the eating area, so to carry stuff from the table over to the counter. Obviously, my husband and I do anything like really heavy, but she can get the plates and stuff like that, cups, things, put the napkins into the dirty clothes, that sort of thing. Then she wipes down the eating area, and then she does her bedtime routine. And then for my 3-year-old, obviously his is going to be more simplified. But in the morning, one of his chores is to help with unloading the dishwasher, because usually we run the dishwasher after dinner and then we need to unload it before breakfast the next day. So that gets him into the kitchen with either my husband or I, so that he is not annoying his other siblings or kind of getting in their way as they're trying to make their bed. So he helps with unloading the dishwasher. He makes his bed with the help of his 5-year-old sister. We don't have sheets on our bed. They just have flat sheets, and then they have blankets. And usually we just fold the blankets and put them at the foot of the bed. And that's how we make the bed. We don't have to get everything all smooth or tuck anything in. It's pretty straightforward. And then he changes his clothes, puts anything dirty into the dirty clothes basket. After breakfast, his responsibility is to wash his hands and face, because usually he gets a little bit dirty with breakfast eating. So that's his first thing on his after breakfast job. And then vacuum under the eating area, and then to brush his teeth. We have a little hand vacuum and he loves to use it. So this is one of his favorite chores, and works great. He doesn't do 100% as much vacuuming as I would do, but he does a pretty good job of kind of spotting things and getting stuff cleaned up. At lunchtime, his job is to help tidy with his 5-year-old sister. And then at dinner time, his job is to vacuum under the eating area after we're done with dinner and do his bedtime routine. So not anything super complicated. We did have my 7-year-old doing the chickens, feeding the chickens for the first term of the school year, but she really did not enjoy that. The chickens kind of scared her, and so she asked if she could be relieved of that for this term, and I said that's fine. I will do this term, but then I put her in charge of the laundry because I was like, well, if I'm gonna go do chickens, then I need somebody else to kind of take on something else here in the household. So that is kind of what my kids do. Obviously, I ask them to help at other times, you know, hey, could you put this book away? Hey, could you, you know, grab a banana down and hand it to me to feed the baby or whatever. But in general, like these are kind of the main everyday expectations I have of how they're going to help and contribute. And I try to make them very specific to those specific times of day so that they know, oh, this is like a work chore contribution time. Once I get these done, I can be free to go back to playing outside or playing with my dolls or coloring or whatever it is that they were wanting to do. Okay, so some other tips that I have for how to make chores work. So whenever we do a chore changeover at the beginning of the term, I try to take a week and focus really intentionally on helping make these chores get helping the chores get done in the way that I want them to. So I follow like a 5-day sort of routine. The first day is they already know what chores they're going to do because they've seen the list and we've talked about it, usually previous to when we start the switchover. But when we do the switchover, the first day, I will do their chore and have them kind of just watch me, follow along with me, and really be in more of an observing role. So that's day 1. Day 2, I do their chore, but have them help me with the things that they might be able to help me with. So when I'm loading the dishwasher or unloading the dishwasher, I'll be like, oh, can you grab those plates and then bring them over here and let me show you how I stack them into the dishwasher. We put them in like this, remember? And I talk them through the process. So that's day 2, where I'm doing it, but they're a little bit more actively involved. Day 3, we switch and they're doing it and I am assisting them. So I'll ask them like, what do you want me to bring to you? Like, oh, do you think this would be better or do you think that would be better? Because which one is gonna have to fit in the dishwasher? You know, which one do we have to put in first so that everything fits? And then day 4, they do a lot more of it and I do more of the observing role. So I let them do it and I kind of watch them do it. And then by day 5, they do it by themselves and I come and check it when they're done. So it's this 5-day process where the responsibility is gradually being added to, you know, to what they need to do, but it gives us a lot of opportunities for me to clarify expectations and desires and what seems to work best and tips and encouragement and correction if need to. So I find that works really, really well. It does require time on my part. So that's why I try to just block out like, okay, when we do a chore switch around, I'm going to plan extra time to do these chores much more hands-on with the kids. And although it's more time and work up front, I hands down think it pays off because then for the next 10 weeks, obviously I still check on their chores. Obviously, sometimes I provide tips or like, oh, hey, we're not getting the dishes actually clean enough. So I need to see what you're doing and make sure that we're actually, you know, cleaning them enough before they get into the dishwasher or whatever. But it means that I can be much more hands off for those next 10 or 12 weeks. And to me, that is totally worth it because I want my kids to be empowered. I want them to learn. These are like life skills. Like, I mean, no, is somebody gonna like die if they don't know how to vacuum up their crumbs off the floor? Absolutely not. But also, it makes life a lot more pleasant when you're not walking around on crumbs. So I just feel like a little bit more effort up front means that there's a nice long payoff of that effort, and my kids feel empowered and they feel like they really know how to meet my expectations. And I think that that's really good, just that clarity of like, this is what I need, this is what I expect, this is how it works best. And I give them that level of responsibility with enough support and encouragement and teaching and training and scaffolding along the way, that then they can go and be successful, because I want them to be successful at doing their chores. So that's one tip for just how to implement this. Some other tips I have is I like to, as you've seen, I like to do chores around natural transition times in the day when we're all getting up and doing something kind of different. Anyhow, I'm getting up to make a meal. The kids are kind of, transitioning from one thing to the next. Food is a very strong motivator in my household. My kids love to eat, especially breakfast and lunch. But yeah, they seem to always be hungry in the morning. So if I put some chores that have to happen before breakfast on their list and say, as soon as you're done with these chores, breakfast is ready and you can eat, they will get through those chores incredibly fast. Versus if I wait and say like, oh, you can eat first and then we can do chores after breakfast, it takes like 3 times longer to get the chores done. So if your kids are also motivated by food, my kids just love to eat, that works really well for us. And if they're like starving, I'll be like, here, have a handful of nuts and then go do your work, do your chores. It's not that much, doesn't take that long if they're willing to focus, and then come back and breakfast is ready and it's ready for you. So that works really well for us. The after lunchtime chores are, let's see. Yeah, nobody actually has after lunchtime chores. Okay, so I did that on purpose because after lunchtime is kind of, we go into quiet rest time and kind of a slow down time, and nobody really enjoys, well, they don't disenjoy quiet rest, but they would rather play. And so it's just not a good idea to have chores after lunchtime that then is like right before something that they're not super excited about doing. So all of the chores happen before lunchtime. And then at dinner time, the after dinner time chores, the reward is, if we get through these fast enough, we usually have enough time to read some books. So they either do chores before dinner, the reward is the meal, the food, or they do chores after dinner, and the reward is, hey, if we get these done, then we have time to read a couple books or read a chapter of our read aloud if we get through our bedtime routine efficiently. So that's kind of how I work to try to motivate the kids, and in general, it works pretty well. And then my last 2 tips are, don't require your kids or ask your kids to do a chore that you're not willing to check on, and you're also not willing to see as teachable opportunities. So they are kids. Like, my 3-year-old does not vacuum perfectly, and I don't really expect him to vacuum perfectly. Like at nighttime, the lights are dim, it's hard to see. I miss grains of rice sometimes. So of course, I want them to have a level of responsibility for doing their chores, but I also want to be realistic about what they can do and how much I can't expect perfection from them. So I would just encourage you, if you're going to have your kids do chores, which I would highly encourage you to have your kids do chores, do it with the expectation that they're always going to do something a little bit wrong or something a little bit different from what you would do. And that's okay. You can manage to walk that line of like appreciating what they're doing, telling them great job, encouraging them, finding the positive specific things that they have done that's so great, and then also being like, oh, you know what? I see that we missed a spot over here. Do you see it? Could we do an extra little wipe down over here on the corner? I think that maybe from your angle, you just weren't able to see it, and go ahead and let them also see that they still have room for improvement, but with a lot of like encouragement and positive and gratitude and appreciation for how they are contributing. Like, yes, of course, it's a household, families need to contribute, but I appreciate it when my kids thank me for making them breakfast, or thank me for folding their laundry, or doing the things that I'm just doing to contribute to the household. And I want to model that kind of gratitude and appreciation to my kids as well as they're doing chores to help our family run more smoothly. So of course, we all need to do chores, but also we can all appreciate when each other does chores and thank people for it. So that is kind of how we do our chore system. If you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment below. I love to interact with people via the YouTube comments and answer questions or clarification. But yeah, that's how we do our chores. And I hope this was helpful or, gets your brain thinking about something. Let me know if there was any specific takeaways that you're like, oh, that was really a good tip. Because sometimes it's funny, you never know like what you just think of as kind of normal, what somebody else might be like, that's super helpful. So I would love to hear, and I appreciate you being here. Thanks for taking time with me, and I hope you have a beautiful day.